The worst part about summer in Australia, besides the spiders, the snakes, the biting insects, the diseases that the mozzies bring, the unbearable heat, the humidity, the temperature, the warmth of the air, and the bushfires,
is I gotta wait another 6 months before I can get 2 weeks of wearing a hoodie again. Anyway, I'm out on the creek with a drop riffle sluice box today, and the reason for doing that is quite simple. It's been sitting in my shed now for well over a year, just saying, hey, pick me. I'm really good technology that's being underutilized on your channel.
For almost a decade now, I've been using multiple sluice boxes to process river gravels to get the gold out of them, because I like gold. Gold's kind of cool. It's nice to own gold. But there's one kind of sluice box that I really haven't used too much of in the past, and that is drop riffle sluices like the Angus McKirk here.
Prospecting, fishing, and hunting all fall into the same exact category as each other when it comes to gear. Most products are designed to catch the consumer and not the thing you're actually chasing. And this is particularly true in the case of sluice boxes. I just probably pissed off 14 different sluice box groups. And that's because whilst yes, we have invented new ways of catching gold with sluices, it all relies on one thing, and that's gravity. And gravity is a constant, so it doesn't matter how you utilize it, as long as you're utilizing it.
You need very precise, even flow over these boxes to make them work. I usually tell that by the V's. If you get the V's lined up in the middle, it'll create a diamond pattern running down your box. And that diamond pattern shows even distribution of water flow. And who's got time for that when it's 36 degrees at 9 AM? So I don't have long, because that sun's gonna come over those trees and I'm gonna die. Well, maybe not die, but it'll be spicy out here. And I probably ain't got time to run that one.
To explain further, I need some dirt.
I need my spoon. Who eats with a big spoon? You like a big spoon or a small spoon? For prospecting, I like a pointy spoon. A lot of people use a flat spoon. Flat spoons don't get between the rocks. I don't know why people use them. There's like slightly too much gold to pan. Oh, gold. Slightly too much dirt to pan. Imagine if you had slightly too much gold to pan. That's why we're running the sluice box today. And it's all coming out of this really fractured looking bedrock.
Drop riffle sluices utilize the same sort of technology that the old timers were using, just modernized and with a bit more science. I'm gonna cut to the chase. It's all about size. No matter what she tells you. And, well, density. You see, gold is really dense. And it's that density that allows us to catch it. Because gold is generally really small, unless it's not. In which case you'll know it's not small because it won't be small. Which is why a critical stage of all gold sluicing is classifying.
Every single time I use this, I feel like I'm driving a mini go-kart. These cool things are not deep frying baskets. They're from Matt's Custom Crevice Tools here in Australia, and you can pick one of these up. They're made for 10 and 20 litre buckets. I think that's 5 and 2 gallon buckets in freedom units. I don't understand that number system. Anyway, as usual, I forgot my scoop, but I got my meat scoops here. We're gonna wear the tips off them today. Efficiency.
Because the gold is small, you don't want it fighting against really big rocks.
There is something very gratifying about watching a drop riffle sluice work.
Even though gold is super dense, it is little itty bitty, and that means it's competing for space with other things that are also dense, like politicians and garnets.
It's super interesting to watch this thing work. I can see a massive garnet in the sluice box just there. These are meant to actually be better at catching gemstones. I don't know if that's true, to be honest. I hope it is, because there's a lot of garnets here. Get some good gold in that very first riffle as well. There's a couple of reasons that I want to change over to doing more drop riffle sluicing and whatnot. Some of it's to do with brands. Some of it's to do with practicality. But this is to be explored in the future. For today, I just want to run one and get my brain around how to actually do it. And hopefully come out the other end of it with some gold.
By making everything the same size, it's kind of the same as weight classes in the UFC. You're not putting a featherweight up against a super heavyweight.
There's this little pocket of gravel just here. That's coming with me.
And this leads us on to volume and why size is important. Your sluice box only has so much room in it to hold on to heavy material. And while sluices are designed to shed away some of the lighter, heavier material, such as the garnets and politicians, Eventually you will run into a situation where if enough black sand goes down your sluice box, you will run out of room. And so you don't want to be clogging up your available space with bullcrap. And that's particularly important for drop riffle sluices because they've only got a few riffles.
One of my main concerns is whitewashing the box where all your gold gets blown out, but I'm really happy to see that we knew this riffle was going to clear out because it was doing that now testing, and the gold is still remaining directly on the bed. So you've got enough time to work your bucket, go fill another one, come back with a full one, and the gold won't have gone anywhere.
Which is kind of convenient because you don't really want the gold that you've just dug out of the bed to go on its merry way downstream, now do ya?
I've been doing this long enough to know that the equipment doesn't matter. What I've come to discover more is that the passion for you to go out there and do hard work on a day like today where it is 36 degrees at 9 AM and you're going to be doing hard labor all day, it requires, at least for me, something to drive me to get out there. And that's the piece of equipment that I'm using. I want to use something that inspires me to do this. In this case, I really wanted to see a drop riffle sluice work. But these sluices work in more situations than they don't. Whereas some of the improved versions might be better in certain situations, but they're not good for everything.
You know how I said size is pretty much everything in this game? The bigger, the better? Well, most of us aren't dealing with really large, big gold nuggets. And the gold that we can recover out of streams like this is different shapes. And so you need a system that's able to latch on and keep hold of many different sizes and shapes.
Ooh, that was almost a disaster. Just loudly, there's some good fine gold accumulating right up the top here. And look at that beautiful pattern. That's like some kind of antique glassware. We've got gold and we've got a shotgun pellet right there in that riffle that's blowing out. Now the reason that's blowing out is because of this velocity difference in here. Ignore that, it's fine. That there is a really good sign. We're getting good gold in that riffle that's remaining in that riffle, and that shotgun pellet isn't moving. All in all, this is looking like it's going to be a pretty good day. We're only 2 buckets in.
Sluicing is all about volume. The more dirt you put through the sluice box, the more gold you're ultimately going to recover.
Bucket number 3. Sluice. And man, we're actually seeing some really good gold. Look at that. There's a little pickery bit right there. There's actually a lot of gold in that front riffle, and all up the side here in this weird, like, grippy, patterny stuff. There's heaps of small specks. That riffle's still got good gold in it. I can't see any migration down here, which is brilliant. It just goes to show you, challenging the assumptions that you've held for so long on a periodic basis is probably really good for you. I'd avoided using drop riffle sluices for the longest time simply because I didn't want to invest the time in being so finicky with setting them up. They work really well. They're a lot lighter. They have excellent gold recovery. They fit into backpacks and their cleanups are tiny.
What I'm trying to get at is you're going to see a version of this sluice on my channel a lot more regularly. And if you would like to see those adventures, make sure you hit the subscribe button because you'll see me butcher more English language and use things that catch gold.
I don't know if I'm just getting older and weaker or these buckets are getting heavier. If they're getting heavier, it means there's more black sand and gold, which would be good. If I'm getting weaker, that's not ideal.
Debating whether I'd have to do a Goku-style training session in extra gravity, I was happy to see that the box was looking good.
Left hand. Oh, hello, baby. I've now run 6 buckets worth of dirt and I want to clean the sluice box out because I kind of just want to see if it's catching the fine gold I know is in here. And it won't take that long. What I can tell you is that there's decent looking gold in the top riffle. I mean, just look at that. And that's pretty good.
This was the exact face that my teachers in primary and high school would ask me, Chris, what's wrong? Nothing. It's just my concentration face, alright? Jesus.
Gotta go a little bit more gentle with pulling these out of the river, that's for sure. That is a very Very easy cleanup. There's almost no cons in that pan at all. Now, I don't know about gem recovery, but I can see a bunch of garnet in there.
We're not here for garnets, gold boy. Show us the gold.
Oh, yeah. Look at those little bickery bits. For just 6 10-litre buckets, that's a reasonable result. We've got fine gold, and we've got coarse, and we've got garnets.
Garnets and gold aside, the sun had finally poked around the trees and it was excruciatingly hot, so I beat a hasty retreat back to my shed, which was just as hot. Over the years, I've collected a ridiculous amount of sluice boxes of all different shapes and sizes. And whilst they all work and they all have their place, I do strongly feel that drop riffle sluices are going to make up the majority of my sluicing in the near future. But you're here for the gold, and this is what we managed to get out of 6 buckets on the creek. $100 bills for scale. The telltale sign that a sluice box was working correctly is a mixture of gold. If you can get really fine flour gold and big chunky gold together, everything was running correctly. The other sign is the recovery of gemstones. Gemstones, whilst dense, are nowhere near as dense as gold, so if your sluice is also holding on to them, you're doing pretty good. And now, a word from our sponsor, The Old Mouldy. The Old Mouldy is my website where we sell pay dirt, gemstones, crystals, and gold nuggets. If you've ever wanted to experience prospecting from the comfort of your own lounge room, you now can. We have pay dirts ranging from as little as $20 all the way up to $370, so there's something there that will suit everyone. And I made this ring. It's a skull ring made from 999 silver and gold nuggets, which is also on the shop, and I think it's pretty damn cool. But that's my own personal opinion, and like assholes, everyone has one. Anyway, back to the gold way up. I only work 6 buckets, which is not that much dirt, which makes this an exceptionally good cleanup. With approximately a gram of clean gold, that means I profited 140 Australian dollars at the time of recording. And given that the gold price is only continuing to go up at quite a rapid pace, I suspect this gold will be worth much more by the end of 2025.